When hanging around Rivet City, there are a ton of people to meet and things to check out, but if you find yourself on top of the carrier and around this location on the map, we can find a nice setup some of the kids use to engage in America's favorite pastime. On top of the ship, we can find a makeshift baseball diamond, perfect for knocking home runs into the neighboring super mutant encampments. This is quite the setup for some rusted tin can floating in the harbor, and I like to think a few good summer nights were spent up here with a great break from the wasteland. When exploring the capital wasteland, we can come across settlements, raider hideouts, and sometimes farms which have fallen into disrepair in our travels. One farm got an upgrade after the Broken Steel DLC, and a silo was added to the area next to Montgomery County Reservoir. Heading to this location on the map, we can see that it can be entered. Inside, we can find an assault rifle, a carton of cigarettes, and a first aid box with various loot. There's also a ladder here, so we can hit the balcony and get a pretty good look around the wasteland. These silos are rare to come by and can be easily missed, but they do exist in the capital wasteland, most of the time guarded by raiders who have taken shelter in the farms the silos inhabit. The real question is, how many caps do you think could fit in one of these things? Let me know in the comments. At the Museum of Technology, we can find a few exhibits that scratch the itch for pre-war tech. One of the hardest to miss is the Delta IX rocket that sits as the centerpiece of the staircase. The United States Space Administration commissioned the Delta IX rocket back in 2020, and for 15 years it was used for various space missions, with 77 launches under its belt, the most notable being the Zeus 12 moon mission, which saw a 17-day spaceflight, the longest in recorded history. One thing to notice about this rocket is the flag that is showcased on the side. As the 13 Commonwealths were formed in 1969, the Delta IX from 2020 is using the 50-star variant. This isn't the only place that we can find the Delta IX, as if we head to Vernon Square, just outside the Statesman Hotel, we can find a crashed rocket giving off heavy amounts of radiation. This is likely due to the fact that the Delta IX used a nuclear electric derivative as a propulsion system, and after these rockets were used for space travel, they were converted for military use, exchanging the live crew and other instruments with a nuclear warhead. Next to the crashed rocket, we can find an entrance that leads to a radiated sewer. Inside, we can find a few odds and ends like rad meds and a copy of the DC Journal of Internal Medicine. This rocket brings many questions. Did it crash, fall from space, or was it launched after the change to military use? The crater and all of the still existing nuclear fallout certainly point to the latter. So if that is the case, who launched this weapon? We can find a bunch of different references to the American Civil War, mainly focused around the Temple of the Union. The fact that the group is made up of former slaves is of course a huge indication, but we can also find familiar names amongst the ranks. Let's start with the Temple of the Union's leader, Hannibal Hamlin, who is named after Lincoln's first vice president, who himself was a fierce abolitionist, thereby connecting the personalities of the historical figure and the character in game. Hannibal's canine companion, Fourscore, is named after the first two words of the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln's speech to honor those who gave their lives for the war. We can find this speech in full at the Lincoln Memorial, and we can even hear Hannibal recite this address in-game.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this.
Temple of the Union member, Bill Seward, is named after William H. Seward, who from 1861 to 1869 served as the Secretary of State of the United States. Also Caleb Smith, who shares his name with Lincoln's Secretary of the Interior, and Simone Cameron, whose name is based off Simon Cameron, his Secretary of War. This group isn't the only time we see this name game, as Leroy Walker at the Lincoln Memorial shares his name with Leroy Pope Walker, who was the first Confederate States Secretary of War and also started the Civil War itself by firing on Fort Sumter. So it seems the Capitol Preservation Society isn't the only place we can learn about past politics and history, even though we can find further references here, such as a copy of the Gettysburg Address present in the museum. The Capitol Wasteland is filled with myths and legends alike, but few are more disturbing than the pint-sized slasher, who was suspected of committing the Linden Street slayings in DC back in 2052. While the idea of a child becoming a serial killer is certainly dark, the suspect donning a clown mask and wielding a knife makes it equally horrifying. The appearance of the pint-sized slasher is actually based on the promotional arcade flyer for the light gun on-rail shooter game CarnEvil, developed by Midway. However, I feel like this poster strikes a bit more fear than what we see in Fallout 3. The downtown area of DC in Fallout 3 was originally designed to be twice its final size. However, the development team decided it was too sprawling and confusing, leading to the reduction of the space by half. While the Capital Wasteland seemed too small at first, the team ultimately doubled its size to create a more expansive experience. Todd Howard expressed his concerns during the development of Fallout 3, fearing that many dedicated Fallout fans might be upset because Bethesda wasn't the original creator of the series and that this installment would offer a new style. This pressure placed Fallout 3 under intense scrutiny. Nevertheless, Howard is pleased that the game found its own audience within the Fallout community. He particularly cherishes the Vault 101 prologue, feeling that the moment the Lone Wanderer steps into the wasteland is emotionally significant. During the game's development, the team faced unexpected challenges, including receiving death threats from some fans of Fallout and Fallout 2, which prompted Bethesda to hire their first security guard. According to Fred Zellini, about 30% of dialogue was cut at one point to ensure that all the voice lines would fit on the disc. This included much of the content that would have differentiated between male and female player characters. The Capital Wasteland also makes an appearance in Fallout Shelter Online, an Asia-exclusive sequel to Fallout Shelter created by Shingu Games. While characters and locations from Fallout 3 are featured in the game, their place within the main continuity remains unclear. The abandoned camp is an unmarked location in the Capital Wasteland. True to its name, this deserted campsite rests under the bridge directly across the Potomac River from the parking lot of the Super-Duper Mart. It's surrounded by a ring of tires and features a bed, an ammunition box, and a table. Be cautious, as there's an armed frag mine at the camp's entrance. You can also find a duck and cover skill book placed on the table. Additionally, a few mirelurks appear in the area, making it a location to visit with care. Calverton is an unmarked location in the Capital Wasteland featuring a small ruined town near a chapel located southwest of the Drury Metro station. The remnants of Calverton consist of 6 destroyed houses surrounding a 3-way intersection, with 4 houses cluttered to the west and 2 to the east. The northwesternmost house holds a very hard locked safe, a trunk, and an unknown bed. Another unowned bed can be found in the middle house to the south among the 4. The desolate town is lifeless except for a solitary Enclave Eyebot. However, it can occasionally attract a Regulator hit squad or a Talon Company hit squad at the southeasternmost house, while 2 leveled creatures may spawn along the southwest road. To the north of the town lies a church that has been taken over by raiders. Adjacent to the church is a small graveyard, enclosed by a broken white picket fence. Inside the church entrance, there's a tripwire that sets off a shotgun trap, and at the back, a pressure plate triggers a grenade trap. The building is also furnished with a podium, some barrels, and a few makeshift mattresses. Certain scripted events can unfold at the church. If you approach from the northeast side, a raider with a flamer will spawn, chasing a wastelander on the opposite side. Unfortunately, the wastelander is scripted to die and cannot be saved. Upon your first entry into the chapel, there's a 50% chance that 3 leveled raiders will appear at the billboard northeast of the church, ready to attack. The road southwest of the town is barricaded with sandbags and the husks of abandoned cars. East of the town, an open trailer truck showcases signs of previous inhabitants. Along the southeast road, you'll find a billboard where 2 Enclave soldiers and an officer engage rad scorpions, provided you've completed the quest The Waters of Life. Further down that road, additional ruined shacks and houses can be found. A small rocky canyon lies east of the church where repeatable Type B random encounters are known to take place. You can also uncover several skill books here, such as a copy of Lying Congressional Style located on the speaker's podium in the church, Pugilism Illustrated found on the floor in the corner of the church bathroom, Nikola Tesla and You resting on top of a bookshelf in the southwesternmost house, and U.S. Army 30 handy flamethrower recipes tucked away inside a truck on the east side of town. Additionally, a mini nuke can be found resting on a bench inside the church. Calverton draws inspiration from the real-life town of Calverton, Virginia. The Cratered Hamlet is an unmarked location in the Capital Wasteland located just south of Moresty Train Yard. This area features a handful of dilapidated houses and a large crater where a significant building once stood. Inside the ruined houses, you'll find minor loot scattered about and wrecked Corvegas parked nearby. One of the houses even has a carport that holds some additional goodies and a lawnmower. The crater itself is filled with barrels of radioactive waste, contributing to the background radiation that permeates the area. A little to the north, you can stumble upon a wrecked bus surrounded by a few skeletons. At the center of the radioactive crater, there's an average locked safe waiting to be opened. 2 more easy locked safes rest inside some of the houses. Additionally, you can discover a Tumblr's Today skill book nestled in a bathtub within one of the ruined houses. The MDPL-13 power station is a large, abandoned power plant located in the northeastern section of the Capital Wasteland, situated between the Germantown Police HQ and the Greener Pastures disposal site. The station is closest to Minefield, which lies to the southeast. Its 3 towering chimneys are visible from various points in the wasteland, making it one of the area's notable landmarks. The power station complex consists of a derelict power plant and an adjacent power substation. You can enter the decaying power plant through either a set of double doors or a garage door. If you choose the double doors, you'll step into an office equipped with a desk, multiple file cabinets, and 2 vending machines. From there, a door leads into a room that features the prominent chimneys. Inside the plant, you'll encounter ghoul enemies and an initially inactive Mark 7 automated turret mounted on the main hall's ceiling. This turret can be activated through a terminal found in the small entrance room. Disabling the generator will render it inactive. Interestingly, the turret is programmed to be hostile toward anyone, while the unarmed ghouls can't touch it, effectively clearing the area. On the second floor, accessible via a catwalk beneath the turret, you'll find a locked floor safe, with the terminal for accessing it located on the nearby desk. If you enter through the garage door instead, there are several lockers and a personal footlocker that is also locked. The door adjacent to these lockers leads into the spacious room featuring the 3 chimneys. Over in the power substation, there's a workbench where you'll find materials needed for constructing a nuka grenade, along with a bottle cap mine and the schematics for the railway rifle. It's worth noting that small pockets of radiation are present throughout the building. Lastly, there's Fisto, a unique power fist available on a desk in the upstairs office of the derelict power plant. The Clifftop Shacks are a part of a medium-sized camp inhabited by super mutants in the Capital Wasteland. These shacks are situated southeast of Oasis and west of Vault 92. The exterior features a small fortified plateau hosting 3 shacks, 2 of which are accessible. You can reach the plateau from the eastern side via an uphill path or cross over using a simple suspension bridge on the western side. The area is heavily guarded by several super mutants, with their levels scaling according to that of the Lone Wanderer. At higher levels, you might also encounter centaurs lurking about. Outside the northern shack, multiple gore bags lie scattered. Adjacent to it is a collapsed structure where you can find a kneeling wasteland captive in need of rescue, who offers a small reward for your help. To the south lies the second accessible shack. Inside the northern shack, you'll find a single room filled with 5 additional gore bags, alongside numerous ruined books scattered throughout. A skeleton rests on a bloodied bed, which you can use for sleep. Next to the bed, there's an ammo box and a footlocker, and beneath it, an average locked safe awaits. The southern shack has 2 rooms, but beware of a hostile super mutant lurking inside. The first room contains 4 makeshift beds, an oven, and a refrigerator, while the second room holds a dead raider on the bed, a lifeless wastelander near the dresser, and another unfortunate captive caught between the 2. An average locked safe is tucked away on a wooden shelf along the southern wall. There's decent loot to be found in these shacks. You can discover a copy of Pugilism Illustrated on the shelf in the first room of the southern shack, as well as Grognak the Barbarian on the middle shelf of the last metal shelving unit to your right upon entering the northern shack. Additionally, a pre-war book sits on the nightstand, and in the hands of the skeleton on the bed, you'll find the Board of Education, a unique nailboard weapon. You can find Dominic and Machete's house over in Canterbury Commons, conveniently located just northeast of Dot's Diner. The interior is cluttered with various items for schematics, including turpentine, surgical tubing, and toy cars. In the office, you'll come across a couple of ammunition boxes, alongside several desks and some broken computers. By the entrance of the main room, there's a Nuka-Cola vending machine that's ready to serve. At different hours, either Dominic or Machete can typically be found resting on a rack or simply hanging out. The place also features a few drinking fountains for health recovery and a workbench for crafting. Inside, you'll discover a few useful items: a bottle cap mine sitting on the workbench, a copy of Dean's Electronics on a desk to the right as you enter, and the unique tire iron weapon known as the Highwayman's Friend perched on a shelf. This special weapon delivers slightly more damage than the standard tire iron, while also allowing for a quicker attack speed. However, it's worth noting that it weighs 2 pounds more than its regular counterpart. The Dickerson Tabernacle Chapel stands as a crumbling relic in the northwest corner of the capital wasteland. Its structural integrity is severely compromised. An inhabitant known only as the Drifter occupies the upper level, while the ground floor is littered with a lectern, some supplies, and a few makeshift beds. Once a member of the Tree Minders in Oasis, the Drifter was exiled under mysterious circumstances. Abandoned and surviving in the harsh wilderness, he has turned to hunting local wildlife and pilfering from fellow wastelanders for sustenance. By the year 2277, he has settled in the dilapidated remains of the Dickerson Tabernacle Chapel, residing in the rafters, well out of reach of the numerous Yaoguai prowling the area. He has adopted a solitary existence. From the safety of the chapel's spire, he silently picks off both prey and would-be threats with his distinctive reservist rifle, often lost in memories of his past life with Harold and his companions. In the 2280s, the Drifter engaged in a tense confrontation with a particularly dangerous experimental Deathclaw that had escaped from Raven Rock. This encounter took place at Mount Mabel, but he ultimately chose to withdraw rather than kill the beast. Throughout his days, he vigilantly guards the chapel's upper floor, ready to attack anything that approaches. Among his possessions, the Oasis Coordinates holotape can also be found. In the dim light, a skeleton of a man lies sprawled behind an overturned pew, a testament to his desperate attempt to find cover. Nearby, 2 ammunition boxes and a combat shotgun sit in stark contrast to the desolation. A wooden crate holds a box of detergent, concealing 2 stim packs underneath, waiting to be discovered by the lone wanderer. Interestingly, Dickerson is also a real community located in Montgomery County, Maryland, sharing the same geographic spot as its in-game counterpart. The Sniper Shack, also known as the Abandoned Shack, is situated on a cliff to the west of Rockbreaker's Last Gas. This modest single-room building comes equipped with a variety of useful items, including a locker, several ammunition boxes, a fridge, a stove, and some metal boxes, along with a bed for rest. Notably, the shack features a workbench and houses the game's only named Radroaches, Fluffy, and Jitters, which will respawn if eliminated. Outside the shack, players may encounter either the Talon Company or Regulators depending on their karma level. After completing the Waters of Life quest, a Vertibird may also drop an Enclave soldier and a sentry bot in the northwest area. Additionally, super mutants occasionally spawn near the small pond located close to the shack. There's a treasure trove of interesting loot to be found here, including a copy of Dean's Electronics hidden away in a wooden box under the workbench, a copy of Guns and Bullets, a pre-war book, along with roughly 20 bobby pins that are located on the table to the left of the locker. There's a bottle cap mine which can be found on the workbench, and a supersized teddy bear sitting on the bed. A stealth boy can be located on the left locker, while another pre-war book is resting on a table. Finally, the unique sniper rifle known as the Victory Rifle is tucked away in a very hard locker. The Franklin Metro utility is a part of the Metro tunnel system situated within the Capital Wasteland. This area is mildly irradiated, with certain spots being heavily so, and it features sections that are partially submerged in water. The Metro Track Tunnel is a segment of the Blue Line located to the east of Franklin Station, providing access to Falls Church and Hubris Comics. Interestingly, the tunnel is designed to loop back onto itself. By dropping down through a hole in the floor, you can revisit the starting point after traversing the area. However, be prepared to encounter several feral ghouls that inhabit these tunnels. As for loot, a variety of items can be found scattered throughout the metro. You can discover around 5 stealth boys, as well as 2 pre-war books located on a shelf to the left of the entry/exit door in the upstairs section of the first room, right next to an open dumpster with an empty oil drum. There is a copy of Tumblers Today that can be found in the downstairs area of the first room, to the right of the turret, resting atop an average locked mine box. Additionally, you'll find a copy of Guns and Bullets in the center of the second room on a desk, alongside a combat shotgun. Lastly, keep an eye out for the unique flamer named Burnmaster, which can be located in a heavily irradiated part of the tunnel hidden within a trailer. Anacostia Crossing is a prominent metro station noted for being the southernmost stop on the Red Line. The station is currently active, as indicated by status monitors. The entrance to the station is situated north of the tower platform, which connects the Rivet City access bridge to the riverbank. Depending on the Lone Wanderer's karma, either Talon Company mercs or Regulators can be found outside the station. Inside, the station is home to a group of lightly armed raiders, and the tunnel provides access to the mall and Seward Square. Just to the west lies a super mutant camp that overlooks the Jefferson Memorial. Entering through the Anacostia metro entrance north of Rivet City leads you onto a raised platform at the center of the station. The ticketing booth acts as the focal point of this platform. To the west of the booth, a sandbag barricade separates the main area from a nearby raider encampment, where several raiders are positioned behind the barrier. Continuing west along the upper platform, you'll find the rear section, which is occupied by the raider camp. There are 7 raiders scattered throughout the station. 3 of them mainly occupy the central upper area, situated between the ticket booth and the adjoining section to the north, which features several tables, chairs, and a Nuka-Cola machine. 1 raider patrols the office area near the Protectron and the Seward Square exit, while another guards the north entrance to the train tunnel below the platform. The remaining 2 are often found wandering or sleeping in the northern alcove leading to the museum station exit. Among the tables along the north wall, you can spot a copy of Pugilism Illustrated. Additionally, a Protectron can be activated in the office areas near Seward Square. The same computer responsible for activating the Protectron also provides a downloadable metro map for your Pip-Boy. In the Capital Wasteland, you'll come across several Cornucopia fresh grocery stores. This chain used to have multiple locations in Washington, D.C., and at least one spot somewhere in the American Southwest. In Georgetown West, the store is situated near a Radiation King and a Cup of Joe. Inside, you'll find a few rad roaches lurking about, along with tin cans, boxes of Abraxo cleaner, bottles of turpentine, and a couple of Nuka-Colas. Behind the counter, there's an average locked floor safe and a first aid box that contains random medical supplies. Interestingly, the terminal in the McClellan townhome refers to this store as McGurdy's Grocery. At Northwest Seneca Station, we can find the Cornucopia located right by the entrance to the metro tunnels. The store is also crawling with rad roaches. Inside, you can discover some sugar bombs, food, and liquor, alongside minor loot and a first aid box. An easy locked floor safe holds some bottle caps, pre-war money, and a pack of cigarettes, which can also be accessed through a nearby terminal. In Tacoma Park, the store is found just east of Nifty Thrifty. The store's interior isn't accessible, but a substantial amount of merchandise like Blamco mac and cheese, pork and beans, and Salisbury steak can be seen piled in front of it. Finally, in Seward Square Southeast, you'll find a Cornucopia fresh grocery located within part of the square. Unfortunately, it's also inaccessible and lacks any loot out front. The White House served as the residence of the President of the United States in Washington, D.C. before the war. True to its name, the White House was not just an official residence, but also the president's workplace in the nation's capital. In 2042, the White House pool was renovated, and some deck chairs were sold to the White Springs Presidential Cottage and Museum as part of the updates. By 2077, the president had left the White House and was secretly residing on Control Station Enclave, an oil rig operated by Poseidon Energy located off the coast of San Francisco. During this tumultuous time, the White House press corps was officially disbanded. By October 2077, the West Wing had been vacant for over 6 months, with no political activities taking place there for quite a while. Only a small team of maintenance workers remained to take care of the property. The White House became a major target for China during the Great War, ultimately being leveled and reduced to a radioactive crater when the bombs fell, where glowing ones now wander among the ruins. To reach the White House, exit the Penn Ave Northwest station on Pennsylvania Avenue. Ascend the stairs and walk straight until you arrive at the building situated to the north, known as White House Plaza. There's a manhole cover visible on the sidewalk at the southwest corner of the building, which leads to the utility access and connects to the White House bunker. You can find 3 mini nukes at the top of the stairs, located to the left of the entrance, alongside a Fat Man. Additionally, a copy of Pugilism Illustrated sits on a table near a workbench in the utility tunnel. Be mindful, as the area is highly radioactive, emitting around 6 rads per second. The car dealership is discreetly tucked away in the Capital Wasteland, located northeast of the Fairfax Ruins. Here you can find the stunning 2077 Corvega priced at a staggering $200,000. The dealership's exterior blends in with the surrounding industrial architecture, featuring a nearby water tower. Inside, the dealership is spacious and showcases 2 Fleas and 2 Corvega sedans. There's an administrative area located at the back, while a repair bay is elevated on the left side of the room. In the garage area, you can discover a copy of the U.S. Army 30 handy flamethrower recipes. To find it, simply open the door of the dealership, glance to your left, and make your way up the embankment by jumping on either the car or the shelves to your right. Drowned Devil's Crossing is a collapsed bridge located in the Capital Wasteland. It lies between the Silver Lining Drive-In and the Mason-Dixon Salvage. The crossing itself is a small crumbled bridge that spans a gorge with a small irradiated creek flowing beneath it. To the west of the bridge, a red and yellow truck is jackknifed, adding to the desolate scenery. Inside the truck, near an average locked safe, you can find a copy of Tumblers Today. Be prepared, as a few raiders will appear in the area once the lone wanderer steps into the trailer. Dukov's Place is a pre-war hotel situated near the Anchorage Memorial and the tepid sewers. Nowadays, it serves as a home and a hotspot for raucous parties filled with sex and drugs, hosted by Dukov and his two female companions, Cherry and Fantasia. The hotel itself is a squat, boxy structure reminiscent of Tenpenny Tower and the Statesman Hotel. Its front entrance is reinforced with wooden barricades, adorned with a poorly painted and grammatically incorrect sign that reads, "Keep your weapons holstered or get shot." Inside, Dukov's Place resembles a two-story bachelor pad, featuring a lighting design that echoes the Love Machine theme found in the official player housing. The upper level houses a shooting range for BB guns. Here, you can find a few items of interest, including a copy of Pugilism Illustrated and a Nuka-Cola Quantum, both tucked away on a bookshelf in the upstairs bedroom behind the headboard. Dukov himself is a boisterous, drunken womanizer and retired mercenary. His life revolves around partying and his many conquests, reflecting his carefree and rather sleazy demeanor. Though he tends to be loud and profane, there's a certain charisma about him. He's primarily focused on his material possessions, his extravagant home, which he refers to as his pad, and the women who frequent it. Once upon a time, Dukov was one of the last surviving mercenaries hired by Alistair Tenpenny for a mission into Fort Constantine. Now retired, he resides at his estate along the east bank of the Potomac River amidst the ruins of DC. His days are spent drinking heavily and indulging in jet with Cherry and Fantasia. He has a unique way of addressing the lone wanderer, calling a male character Clown Shoes and a female character Sweet Cheeks. Cherry, one of the residents at Dukov's Place, is a living companion alongside Fantasia. Although she doesn't feel romantic love for Dukov, she maintains a degree of fondness for him despite calling him a prick and a lecherous old man. She affectionately refers to him as Dookie. Cherry stays with him mainly for his financial support and the protection he offers, trading what she can in return. She dons the clothing he prefers and dreams of traveling to Rivet City, though she knows how dangerous the journey can be without assistance. Cherry's distinctive hairstyle is unique to her and cannot be chosen by the player character, making her style truly her own. It is not seen on any other NPC in the game. Fantasia, another of Dukov's party girls, shares a similar situation. She's there for the safety Dukov provides and admits that Dookie can be a decent guy who is generous in bed and gives her caps. Fantasia candidly states that she would rather live this life than be dead, and regularly enjoys partying with both Dukov and Cherry. Like her companion, she also has a penchant for jet. The name Dukov's Place is a clever nod to Duke's Place, a 60s jazz tune by Duke Ellington. Everglow National Campground is situated northeast of Little Lamplight. This open campground features picnic tables and a handful of small trailers, but it is also home to raiders and super mutants. Scattered throughout the area, you'll find several ammunition boxes, a first aid kit, and even some mattresses suitable for resting. There are a few interesting items to discover around the campground. For instance, you can locate a copy of Guns and Bullets inside a trailer to the west, while a Nuka-Cola Quantum sits to the east of Everglow. The exploding scientist truck is a hidden location in the capital wasteland. It features a wrecked truck positioned on a bridge, hovering above a small mirelurk nest teeming with the creatures. To the north and east, you can find the Overlook Raider Shack and the Raider Wreckage fortifications, respectively. When you approach the truck, you'll hear an explosion and may catch a glimpse of the remains of the scientist. Inside the truck, there's a small living area furnished with a table, a chair, and a mattress. As you step inside, to your left, you'll spot a larger table equipped with a laser rifle, some ammunition, various workshop components, and a few stim packs. Over to the right, two racks line a small table, which holds a mini nuke, while the racks contain a selection of food and items and additional components. Keep in mind that items may get rearranged because of the explosion. You can discover a few intriguing items here, including a copy of the Big Book of Science on the scientist's remains. Just to the north, down in the valley near some car wrecks, you can find a copy of Duck and Cover alongside a skeleton, and of course, the mini nuke inside the truck itself. The F. Scott Key Trail and Campground is a small camping area located just south of Girdershade. While it mainly consists of a couple of park benches and a modest towable camper, it holds the distinction of being one of the locations where you can find a copy of the Deathclaw Gauntlet schematics. Surrounding the campground, you may encounter various hostile creatures, including a few mole rats, robo-brains, yao guai, rad scorpions, and occasionally one or two Deathclaws, along with some sentry bots lurking about. Though the camp doesn't offer much in terms of loot, it does have a grim reminder of its past, with many human remains scattered around, mostly reduced to bones. A particularly unsettling sight is the remains of a child found near the picnic table to the east of the trailer, right beside the scenic Overlook sign. Within the camper, a lone wastelander resides. Unfortunately, this individual is often targeted by nearby creatures and is unlikely to survive without assistance. If you search the inside of the small camper, you'll discover the Deathclaw Gauntlet schematics along with a copy of Duck and Cover, located just down the hill on top of the central table in the picnic area. The F. Scott Key Trail and Campground is named in honor of Francis Scott Key, the author of the Star-Spangled Banner, which is the national anthem of the United States. Fated Pomp Estates is located in the Capital Wasteland, situated just north of Roosevelt Academy. Like many areas in the Capital Wasteland, these once thriving suburban homes were ravaged by the Great War. Today, all that remains are a series of rundown houses, offering little more than bare beds for wary travelers. It's important to be on guard here, as fearsome creatures like giant rad scorpions, albino rad scorpions, and deathclaws often roam the area. If you're exploring, keep an eye out for a copy of Pugilism Illustrated. You'll find it by a mattress at the foot of a fireplace in the nearest house just east of the fast travel point. Super-Duper Mart is a grocery store nestled near the Potomac River in the Capital Wasteland. In the front of the mart, a large parking lot is marked by hanging corpses, a clear indication of the raider presence lurking inside. There are also two Nuka-Cola vending machines situated against the wall between the entrances, accompanied by a couple of raiders who are non-responding and will engage in combat with anything that crosses their path. As the lone wanderer steps through the left door, they will find themselves in an entry room featuring a Nuka-Cola vending machine directly to the left, surrounded by scattered empty bottles. Upon venturing further into the main store area, a hallway on the left leads to the restrooms, through which raiders often enter the main space. Choosing to enter through the right door places the lone wanderer just to the left of a counter that holds about half of the store's loot. This right wall is less frequently patrolled, allowing for stealthy movement towards the back of the store without raising any alarms. The majority of the store is filled with supermarket-style shelves, connected by makeshift planks that act as bridges between them. However, these areas are patrolled by raiders and generally contain very few useful items. At the back of the store, the pharmacy houses a significant portion of the loot and is guarded by a protectron that can be activated to assist in fighting off the raiders. The key to accessing this protectron can be discovered in a metal box within the mart, or players can opt to lockpick or hack the terminal next to the door, requiring a lockpick or science skill of 25. Among the array of interesting items inside the store, you can find 10 bottles of Nuka-Cola scattered around and tucked away in boxes within the pharmacy storeroom. Additionally, 3 Nuka-Cola Quantums can be located in the same room, along with 3 bottle cap mines. A mini nuke sits close by the computer terminal in the pharmacy, and a copy of Tales of a Junktown Jerky Vendor is on the counter in the alcove just outside the Protectron's room, accompanied by several ammunition cases. Level designer Daryl Bringer was responsible for bringing the Super-Duper Mart to life. Shacktown is an unmarked settlement located in the Capital Wasteland, positioned north of Jalbert Brothers' waste disposal site. Over time, this once thriving village fell into disarray, its inhabitants succumbing to the high levels of radiation prevalent in much of the western Capital Wasteland and transforming into hostile ghouls. The area is characterized by a jumble of rusted shacks and abandoned vehicles. The 4 main shacks are arranged in a rough diamond formation, flanked by 2 withered trees and a few makeshift shelters that look as if they were haphazardly thrown together from scrap metal and wood beams. The southern edge of the village is safeguarded by a steep cliff, and there is a boarded-up shelter door that hints at a past life, possibly a mine or a makeshift fallout shelter for the villagers. The settlement is home to a group of 6 hostile ghoul wastelanders. 5 of them attack anyone entering the area on site, while the 6th lurks inside the northern shack. One of these shacks features several piles of human skeletons behind a barricade of tables. Additionally, in the shack with the combat shotgun, there's a skeletal figure in the bathtub with a toaster resting awkwardly between its legs. Amidst the grim surroundings, there are a few valuable finds. Look for a copy of Tales of a Junktown Jerky Vendor and a Stealth Boy on a desk in the northwestern corner of the northernmost shack. You can also spot a copy of Tumblers Today inside a doorless refrigerator lying on its side near the southern part of the southwestern shack, as well as a copy of Duck and Cover and a mini nuke along the northern wall of the southeastern shack. Pirate Pely Boats and Bait is an unmarked spot located just south of the irradiated metro. This quaint little shack sits on the edge of the tidal basin and features a pier with several waterlogged boats parked outside, although they're no longer seaworthy. The shop offered a quirky mix of rentals, worms, ice cream, and talking parrots. Inside, the building is quite compact. In the right corner, there's a drinking fountain, while a set of lockers lines the left wall. Behind the counter, you'll find a refrigerator and a mannequin, along with a footlocker. Beneath the counter, almost directly under the cash register, there's a hard-locked safe, which can also be accessed via an average locked terminal located on the counter. Interestingly, a single radroach makes its home in the shack. The shop's name pays homage to Istvan Pely, the lead artist of Fallout 3. The Musty Caverns is a hidden location in the Capital Wasteland situated just east of Mason-Dixon Salvage. It resembles a typical anthill entrance. Inside, the layout is strikingly similar to that of a warren, featuring several long, narrow tunnels interspersed with various cave fungi and other elements. At the end of these tunnels lies a circular room containing 2 corpses. The interior is strewn with waste piles that may hold ant nectar, along with a few bodies that can be looted for common items. Outside the cave, you'll find a spawn point for various enemies, including giant ants, rad scorpions, and even deathclaws at higher levels. Upon entering the cavern, you'll also encounter giant soldier ants waiting for unsuspecting explorers. The Mole Rat Racetrack is a hidden, unmarked spot in the Capital Wasteland, situated in a raider-infested area along an abandoned highway a little southwest of Grey Ditch. At the time of your first visit, a small band of raiders is running mole rat races on a makeshift track. Although there are 2 cages at the site capable of holding up to 4 mole rats in total, only 2 are present. This unconventional location is almost directly beneath the bridge that spans the highway, with a road leading to Grey Ditch's western entrance. The racetracks are bordered by short barbed wire fences and descend slightly downhill along the highway. Here, you will find the 2 cages for the mole rats, along with 2 first aid kits and a standard ammunition box. The area is littered with empty liquor bottles, some jet and tin cans. In addition to the 2 mole rats, 5 low-level raiders populate the site. 2 are armed with melee weapons, while 3 carry firearms, and they are non-respawning. Lucky's is an unmarked trading post situated in the Capital Wasteland, home to a lone scavenger. It's located southwest of both Tenpenny Tower and Warrington Station, resting at the southern edge of the map. The trading post features 2 rooms, a small shop area with various shelves and a counter to the east, along with a seat next to a bed in the north. In the northeast corner, you'll find a cramped bathroom equipped with a toilet and a sink. The surroundings of Lucky's are often bustling with activity, as several types of enemies, including Talon Company mercs and regulators, tend to populate the area. It's not unusual to stumble into a chaotic battle involving multiple factions when stepping out of the store. Inside, you can discover a few interesting items. A Nuka-Cola Quantum sitting prominently on a back shelf next to 2 Nuka-Cola bottles that you can snag. A copy of Pugilism Illustrated tucked away behind the counter, and the Lucky Shades on a mannequin, which grant +1 luck when worn. Oasis is a unique location nestled within the Capital Wasteland. Once just another mine among the many scattered across the pre-war landscape of the United States, it transformed dramatically after the Great War. The extensive network of caves beneath became an impromptu shelter for the inhabitants of a nearby mining town, providing refuge from the bombs. Over time, the once bustling site lost its mining equipment and installations, leaving only a few artifacts to survive into the 23rd century. In the early 2250s, Oasis experienced a resurgence when Harold, a human mutated by the forced evolutionary virus, found himself in a remarkable situation. A sapling named Bob began to grow from Harold's head, rooting itself in the area where Harold was forced to stay for decades. As Bob grew and enveloped Harold's body, the tree flourished, producing pods that scattered fertilized seeds during the wind-blown harvest months, rejuvenating the surrounding landscape with new trees. By around 2257, a small cult led by Birch, known as the Tree Minders, had formed, venerating Harold as the Great One. Birch viewed Harold not as a tragic figure doomed to exist as a tree, but as a deity rooted to the earth, bringing life to a once barren area. As more followers joined Birch, he declared the Tree Minders to be Harold's protectors against those who might seek to exploit or harm him. Devoted to preserving the beauty of Oasis, the Tree Minders renounced most forms of technology, believing it was responsible for humanity's suffering. The cult is led by both the Tree Father and the Leaf Mother, Birch and Laurel, who share equal authority in their community. As Oasis blossomed and nature reclaimed the wasteland, the Tree Minders faced the harsh reality of hostile outsiders. Despite their disdain for technology, they had to occasionally resort to using firearms to defend themselves. The entrance to Oasis, located to the northwest of the cliffside shacks in the northern Capital Wasteland, is guarded and only few outsiders are allowed to enter. Many are turned away or eliminated when they attempt to trespass forcefully, ensuring the safety and seclusion of Oasis. By 2277, the Lone Wanderer represents the first outsider granted entry into Oasis in years. When a visitor is allowed to enter, the tree minders require them to partake in a ritual of purification, drinking sap from the tree to cleanse them of any evil. After this, they can meet the Great One. Long after the bombs decimated the former capital of Washington, D.C., Oasis stands as one of the most fertile areas in the wasteland, alive with lush greenery, thriving trees, and a variety of wildlife. Inside the large rock formation that houses Oasis, a narrow passage leads into this vibrant enclave. The Grove, a secluded spot within Oasis, is encircled by trees and cliffs and is where Harold can be engaged in conversation. Upon first entering the Grove, the Lone Wanderer must have followed the purification ritual, leading to a moment of unconsciousness. Upon waking, they find themselves in the Grove, accessible only through a wooden gate unlocked from a nearby pavilion. In the center of the grove stands the Talking Tree, a fusion of Harold and his sapling Bob. To the southeast lies a small radioactive pond, which, if investigated, reveals an easy locked door submerged underwater, leading to a damp cave. This damp cave connects the grove to the sunken chambers. Inside, a small contaminated lake presents itself, radiating 5 rads per second and inhabited by a few level-dependent mirelurks. Scattered throughout the lake and on its bottom, various junk items and skeletons can be uncovered. In Oasis, there are a few intriguing discoveries to be made. For instance, in the sunken chambers, you can find a copy of the DC Journal of Internal Medicine tucked away near a mysterious orange glowing hole in the wall. Additionally, a stealth boy lies on the table alongside some chems. We can also find a mini nuke at the bottom of the northern pond. The Fairfax Ruins are the remnants of a town in the Capital Wasteland featuring destroyed shops and homes. The area includes the main street, several alleys, and crumbling houses. You'll find more than a dozen heavily armed raiders roaming around, both on the streets and in the tunnels below. North of the main thoroughfare that runs east to west lies the entrance to the Fairfax Metro Station. There are also a couple of manholes and pit traps leading down into the utility tunnels. Various traps can catch the raiders' attention if triggered, and travelers must be cautious of frag mines that may surprise them upon fast traveling to this location. On the outskirts of town, outside one of the houses, there's a gas valve that, once repaired, allows you to set enemies ablaze by shooting them inside. The primary access point to the utility tunnels is a grating in the ground that collapses into a small rectangular hole located in the center of the Fairfax Ruins. A less defended entry to the tunnels can be found via a manhole situated northwest of the ruins, near the Brotherhood Outcast base. Inside the tunnels, you'll encounter several raiders, along with ammunition boxes, medical supplies, and other valuable loot. Additionally, there's a separate subway tunnel in the center of the Fairfax Ruins, which is guarded by 2 raiders. This subway has no connections to other areas, but it contains various ammunition boxes scattered throughout. Upon entering the tunnel, be wary of mines and a shotgun trap located near the entrance. Like the rest of the Fairfax Ruins, this tunnel is primarily inhabited by the raiders. The Grisly Diner rests in the Capital Wasteland. Nestled eastward off the main road, this abandoned diner sits on a gentle incline. The area around both entrances is rigged with 4 frag mines, while the interior reveals numerous corpses and body parts, a grim hallmark of the raider-infested location. Behind the counter, you'll encounter 2 devious traps, a chain trap and a pressure plate trap. Stepping outside the back door, you'll find a bed right next to the wall, across from which are several boxes containing weapons and ammunition. As you enter the diner, you'll trigger the appearance of raiders who will infiltrate from both sides. If left undisturbed, they will take a seat or simply loiter around. However, avoiding detection from the 3 raiders entering through the rear is a tall order. They won't execute their ambush until someone either goes behind the counter or steps out the back door. Inside the diner, there's an oversized first aid box waiting for you. Additionally, you can discover a couple of skill books. One is a copy of Tales of a Junktown Jerky Vendor sitting on a shelf inside the diner, while the other, U.S. Army 30 Handy Flamethrower Recipes, can be found in a ruined bus just north of the diner. Kaelyn's Bed and Breakfast is situated in the Capital Wasteland, where it has suffered extensive fire damage and now serves as a hangout for raiders. Before the Great War, this once popular establishment boasted stunning views of the Potomac River for its guests. The building rests on a hillside with a destroyed bridge in front to the north. It is located southeast of Erifu, north of Vault 106's entrance, and southwest of Fordham Flash Memorial Field. Although the walls and floors are mostly damaged, the structure remains relatively intact with 2 levels. Due to the absence of stairs, a ramp at the back leads to the second floor. The bridge's center has completely collapsed, forcing travelers to navigate off-road and around the ramps. The location is home to 6 raiders and a raider guard dog. 2 raiders roam the interior of the building, while another, armed with a heavy weapon, patrols the nearby area with the guard dog. 1 raider stands watch at the west end of the broken bridge northeast of the inn, while the other 2 loiter amidst the wreckage of the bridge's collapsed section. These inhabitants respawn every 72 hours. Minefield, once known as Ridgefield, is a location found in the capital wasteland. Before the Great War, Ridgefield was a tranquil community tucked away in the hills, isolated from major roads. Over a century after the nuclear apocalypse, a group of military survivors stumbled upon the mostly intact ruins of the town while traveling from the north. Recognizing the strategic advantage of this hidden and defensible location, they decided to claim it as their own. However, this peace was not meant to last. Sometime before 2277, the slavers from Paradise Falls discovered the thriving community in Ridgefield and plotted to raid it for captives. The ensuing attack resulted in the enslavement of nearly all of the tribe's members, leaving only a small boy named Arkansas as the sole survivor. Remaining hidden, he vowed revenge against the slavers. In preparation, Arkansas honed his skills with a sniper rifle and booby-trapped the town ruins with landmines. When the time was right, he spread rumors that a new group had settled in Ridgefield, knowing that this would eventually reach the slavers in Paradise Falls. When the slavers arrived to raid the supposedly deserted town, they were met with a deadly surprise. Arkansas opened fire, picking them off one by one while others fell victim to the explosive traps. Most of the slavers perished that day, and those who survived abandoned any thoughts of raiding Ridgefield ever again. The town quickly gained a reputation as a ghost town, avoided by all, as tales spread of its haunting and the lurking dangers. Traders eventually renamed it Minefield, and Arkansas continued to guard the area, still a sharpshooter despite his advanced age, ready to defend against any slavers or raiders that dared to approach. In that same year, the lone wanderer visited the ruins, seeking to study landmines from Moya Brown's Wasteland Survival Guide in Megaton. Meanwhile, Paradise Falls did not forget about Arkansas and the blood he spilled at Minefield. Eulogy Jones declared him a VIP target, and Grouse sought to find someone who would capture Arkansas for him. Minefield is comprised of several houses, 4 of which are accessible, built around a winding road. A playground sits in the center of the area, which is dotted with frag mines. The only permanent resident, Arkansas, watches over the road from an upper level in a partially destroyed building located to the north, near several ammo boxes. From his lookout in the 3-story building at the town's north end, Arkansas will also fire upon any nearby vehicles, causing them to explode as players approach, adding an extra layer of danger to the area. You can discover a treasure trove of loot scattered throughout the area. For instance, there are 3 bottles of Nuka-Cola tucked away in the building where Arkansas is hiding, right next to the mattress. If you check the Zane house, you'll find a copy of Pugilism Illustrated resting on the lap of a teddy bear in the children's room. Over at the Gillian house, look for a copy of Grognak the Barbarian on the child's bed upstairs. In the Gibson house, you can spot Tumblers Today on a desk. Meanwhile, the Benson house holds a copy of the DC Journal of Internal Medicine in the upstairs master bedroom. All in all, you'll come across a total of 67 frag mines scattered throughout the town. The Monorail train wreckage is an unmarked site located in the capital wasteland found northeast of the Germantown Police HQ. A small camp made up of around 3 raiders has formed beside 4 crashed monorail cars. This makeshift camp features scrap metal planks spread out on the ground, 2 shopping carts, a fire pit, and an old bathtub. Nearby, you can spot a copy of Duck and Cover lying on the floor next to the tub. The remnants of the town of Springvale can be found west of Washington, D.C., nestled within the capital wasteland. In the 2060s, Vault-Tec initiated construction on what would later be known as Vault 101, situated in the hills to the west of this abandoned settlement. As tensions built in the days leading up to the Great War of 2077, families in Springvale sought refuge in the vault, with at least one, the Gomez family, successfully securing a place, while another family was left behind. By 2241, an expedition from Vault 101 ventured into the capital wasteland. The scout leader reported that Springvale was desolate, save for swarms of giant ants, and noted that the roads in the area were severely damaged. This expedition ultimately made contact with the residents of Megaton. Over time, raiders took up residence in the nearby Springvale School, where they targeted caravans and other wasteland wanderers, attempting to tunnel into the vault for a potential raid. On the road leading east from Vault 101, you'll encounter 4 2-story houses, a children's playground, and a gas station. The water tower stands to the south of this road. At a T-junction, the eastern road meets the northern road, you'll find a small ranch house, a bus stop, and another 2-story house. This road concludes south of a specific house known as House Number 6, intersecting with the northeastern road that abruptly stops at the school. Across from the school, there are additional houses, and further up the ridge to the west, you can spot 2 more. A scenic overlook east of Vault 101 offers a stunning panoramic view of both Springvale and Megaton. The first house you encounter on the east road faces south. A blue mailbox positioned to its west contains 3 frag grenades and some jet. In front of this house, a standing mailbox sits, while inside, next to a chimney, there's a cabinet. Diagonally across from this house is another house that faces north. A mailbox lies on its side beside the porch. Inside, a footlocker rests near a chimney, and in the back of the house, a refrigerator stands. Diagonally from the second house is a south-facing one, marked by a derelict blue car parked out front. It has a standing mailbox containing a copy of Pugilism Illustrated. Inside, there's a safe with minor loot, secured with a very easy lock. Facing the third house, another residence can be found, accompanied by a destroyed car to the west. The mailbox stands upright and 2 suitcases sit on the porch. In the heart of Springvale, there's a playground still in relatively good shape, featuring a swing set, merry-go-round, monkey bars, a pair of seesaws, and even a slide. East of the playground, across the road, stands a Red Rocket gas station, complete with a Nuka-Cola vending machine. The single-story house situated northwest of the bus stop belongs to Silver, a former citizen of Megaton who now hides out in Springvale. Silver's past is troubled. She was a prostitute linked to Colin Moriarty in Megaton until their relationship soured, prompting her to take off with her earnings, or so she claims. Moriarty accuses her of being nothing more than a junkie who conned him out of his money, but she firmly believes otherwise. She insisted to Moriarty that she was done with hooking and was rightfully claiming her caps, even sharing a night with him to seal the deal. However, when he tried to stop her from leaving, she took her caps and fled. Regardless of who's in the right, it's clear that Silver's life has taken a miserable turn. Racked with the shame over her past, she has turned to Psycho in a desperate attempt to numb the memories. Initially, the town is empty, inhabited only by a hovering enclave Eyebot, the occasional giant ant, or a vicious dog, and the caravan traders from Canterbury Commons. However, like much of the capital wasteland, hostile factions soon start to make their presence known in the town. One of these factions is the Enclave. After seizing the Gek, the Enclave forces abruptly assert themselves in the capital wasteland. A squad of Enclave soldiers is airlifted by a vertibird to a landing zone northwest of Springvale, where they set up a small base camp. Under orders from their superiors, they aim to eliminate what they deem inferior, such as ghouls and other wastelanders, and they will aggressively confront the Lone Wanderer. Another dangerous group in Springvale is a gang of raiders. They've taken over the Springvale School, using it as a base to ambush caravans and travelers heading toward Megaton. While excavating inside the school, they come across a giant ant nest located within the caverns. In Springvale, you can also find a couple of those letters from Vault-Tec, including both rejection and acceptance notices for Vault 101. Springvale Elementary School is located in northern Springvale, within the capital wasteland. Before the Great War, the school played a crucial role in educating local children. A family reading night was scheduled for November 16, 2077, while the school board had a meeting planned for November 21st. Students and teachers were set to be dismissed early on November 22nd, and there were speculations that school would be closed on an unknown day, likely around Thanksgiving. After the Great War, the building suffered severe structural damage, with the upper 3 floors completely destroyed and the side facing the Potomac River torn open. At some point, a ruthless gang of raiders, led by a figure known as Boppo, took over the school, using it as a base to raid caravans and traders heading to the nearby settlement of Megaton. Boppo later attempted to raid Megaton, but this effort failed, leading to him being mortally wounded by Sheriff Sims. Following Boppo's downfall, the remaining raiders, now under an unnamed leader, shifted their focus to Vault 101. They initiated an ambitious tunnel dig in the school's basement, hoping to gain access to the vault. A group of individuals known as Scabs were responsible for digging the tunnel, utilizing mines to burrow deeper into the caves. The raiders soon decided to conduct more raids on caravans to restock their explosives while trying to be discreet to avoid attracting unwanted attention. In one particularly large cavern, they encountered fierce resistance from a hive of hostile giant ants, resulting in the deaths of 7 workers. Faced with this unexpected threat, the raiders opted to lock the tunnel entrance and stationed guards in the lower levels of the school. The school building faces west, with a parking lot and children's playground in the front, while a baseball field lies behind it. A large sign southwest of the school clearly marks the building. The top floor can be accessed from the outside via a door in the northern wall, reached by a staircase, as well as stairways from within the school. The floor features a library with a storage room, a corridor converted into sleeping quarters by the raider leader, and a balcony overlooking the foyer. The door to the Raider leader's quarters is locked and can only be locked by either picking the lock or using the Springvale library key, which can be obtained by defeating the Raider leader's second in command. The ground floor has access from the outside through the main entrance, as well as stairways from the upper floor and the basement. Notable rooms on this floor include a foyer, kitchen, 2 classrooms, a gentleman's restroom, a ladies' restroom, and a storeroom. In the exposed areas of the school, there's also a classroom and a break room. The basement contains 2 rooms, with one serving as a storeroom, while the covered interior features a locker room and a restroom. Within the school, there are several jail cells, some of which hold the remains of small children. The school also has some interesting items to discover, including a copy of Duck and Cover located to the left of the Raider leader's terminal on the top floor, one of 3 oversized editions of this skillbook in Fallout 3. A copy of the Chinese Army Special Ops Training Manual can be found on the lower level after obtaining the Raider's Key, as well as an assault rifle near the Ant Tunnel, underneath a deceased Wastelander. Additionally, a Nuka-Cola Quantum is located on the top floor, above a cage accessible by jumping down from the 2nd floor or just shooting the bottle off the cage. Finally, a sheet music book can be found in the southeastern classroom on the ground floor, resting on the back plate of a flipped teacher's desk. The Overlook Drive-In is situated in the Capital Wasteland and features a large movie screen, a parking lot filled with several abandoned cars, and a small projector booth that holds some minor loot. This area is currently overrun by raiders, and it's common to encounter at least 5 of them during your visit. Along the road leading into the drive-in, you can find 7 frag mines waiting to be collected. Additionally, it's possible to trigger a chain reaction that causes the cars to explode. The Raid Shack is a hidden spot in the Capital Wasteland inhabited by raiders. You'll locate it just due east of the Bethesda ruins. As you approach, you'll see 2 raiders patrolling the front of the house. To the right, as you enter the grounds, there's a small white trailer containing 2 ammunition boxes and some buff out. On the opposite side of the yard, you'll find a table scattered with various items, along with another ammunition box tucked away under the table, making it a bit tricky to spot. Once you step inside the shack, you'll encounter 3 to 4 raiders depending on your level. They're positioned on both floors. One is upstairs armed with a flamer, while another waits in the kitchen, wielding the distinctive combat knife, Stab Happy. The house is straightforward in its layout, featuring a kitchen and a living room on the ground floor with a master bedroom, kids' bedroom, and bathroom upstairs. All the beds in the shack are available for resting. You'll discover a range of weapons, health items, and ammunition scattered throughout the house. Among the interesting finds, there's a copy of Tales of a Junktown jerky vendor on the nightstand in the master bedroom, alongside some railway spikes. Stab Happy, the unique combat knife, can also be claimed from that raider in the kitchen. Not too far to the northwest, look for a utility pole engraved with TES-04. This is a nod to the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, another game from Bethesda Game Studios. The Raider Farmhouse is a concealed location nestled within the Capital Wasteland. It's just a short walk to the west of Vault 92 and features a 2-story barn right in its center. Opposite the barn's entrance stands a broken silo containing human remains, while nearby lies the skeleton of an old structure. Despite its modest size, the farmhouse is populated by a number of raiders. You'll likely find 3 or 4 of them patrolling the area outside, with one potentially wandering inside. Most of these raiders carry melee weapons and may even have grenades at their disposal. Inside the farmhouse, on the upper level by a large window facing north, there's another raider who is typically armed with a ranged weapon. This could be a 10mm pistol, a hunting rifle, or in rare cases, a sniper rifle. There's also another raider who's usually asleep on the bed within the crumbling shell of the grain silo, but if they're not resting, they might be on patrol around the grounds. Additionally, be prepared to encounter 1 or 2 giant rad scorpions lurking at the edges of the camp or even attacking the raiders. Among the items found here, you can discover a copy of Dean's Electronics sitting on a shelf inside the farmhouse, along with a mini nuke placed on the ground in front of an open cabinet inside. The Festive Raider Camp is a little-known encampment located directly south of Dukov's place in the Capital Wasteland. This makeshift settlement features a town square enclosed by a scrap fence, serving as a stronghold for raiders to ambush unsuspecting travelers and operate as their base of operations. Upon entering, you'll encounter a sandbag barrier that marks the entrance. Inside, the camp boasts a tree adorned with white Christmas lights, standing next to a worn green sofa. Behind it, there's a kitchen table, accompanied by 2 green chairs and 2 dingy yellow mats scattered around. In the sleeping area, you'll find bunk beds with a small table situated between them. Don't forget to check that table because it holds a copy of Duck and Cover. The Raider Shop is a hidden spot in the Capital Wasteland, tucked away in a dead-end alley just east of the Red Racer factory. It's guarded by several boards, sandbags, and 3 guard dogs, all watching over a lone raider who has established his shop here. Inside, you'll find a makeshift counter and several shelves stocked with various items. At the back, 2 refrigerators hold a selection of consumables. For the raiders' comfort, the place is equipped with a table, a chair, a campfire, a makeshift bed, and a barbecue featuring 3 iguanas on a stick. Notably, 2 skill books can be uncovered here, a copy of the U.S. Army 30 handy flamethrower recipes sitting beside a footlocker near the bed, and an issue of Guns and Bullets displayed on the counter. The Roach King is an unmarked location in the capital wasteland situated northeast of Minefield. This peculiar spot is home to the Roach King himself and 6 rad roaches. At the center of this location lies a throne primarily made from a Red Rocket playground set, accompanied by a simple wooden chair positioned in front of it. Surrounding the area are several black plastic mats, and a clock is mounted above the chair, adding to the bizarre decor. True to his title, the Roach King has somehow tamed the rad roaches, declaring himself their king. He is thought to be mentally unstable, often speaking in very simple English that is punctuated by quirky onomatopoeic sounds mimicking roaches. Armed with a minigun, he patrols his modest domain and displays hostility towards humans. It's worth noting that taking items from the ammunition box located next to the throne will result in a loss of karma. Hidden within the Red Rocket is a mini nuke, adding an element of surprise to this strange territory.